Well, first and foremost, thanks so much for choosing to jump on this new podcast that I've launched. In fact, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have added it to Spotify. So for all the viewers, this guy is the one who put me on to the Spotify link. So thank you. So yeah, just to introduce Donald, let me get this right. I don't want to mess this up. World and two times British lightweight champion, WNBF pro natural bodybuilder.
Yeah,
And that's a small snippet of the CV, right?
yeah, just a little bit. I think I got my MPA Pro card as well this year. Well, last
MPF
year
Pro
now.
card, exactly, and many trophies prior to that. In fact, I met you. Was it 2023 at the BNBF Midlands?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think we both I think I came second in that show to Chris Palin. Um and that was kind of the first season where I was actually starting to win some silverware.
And me, actually,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he is a freak. He's one of my shredded natties I've
Yeah.
seen in any class.
Well, for me, it's completely skewed my opinion of like what good conditioning is. So I've competed against Chris at the UKD FBA British finals, and like my condition wasn't bad, but when you stand next to Chris, like it just makes your condition look bad.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
because
yeah,
then through the rest of my prep, all the way going through to Worlds, I was comparing myself to him. Like I got to Worlds and like I was in good condition at Worlds, but in my head it was like, no, more fat to come off. I need to be like inside out.
yeah.
Um, but it was good because it pushed me then to be at that like 'cause I compete as a lightweight. So when you're in that lightweight category, like you have to be like shredded.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the
yeah.
middleweights and like especially the heavyweights can get away. Like they are in condition, but ultimately because you don't have that mass, like you've just got to be like inside out shredded.
Just out of curiosity, what's your? I'm sure it fluctuates. Or what's your ballpark of season weight? If you compete at a lightweight,
My off-season weight, I won't let my weight get above like 75, 76 kilos.
why is that? Any particular reason?
So I've done off seasons where I've pushed it up higher. Like I think the highest I've got my weight to in an off season was about 85. But from the feedback that I've kind of got, like even though I'm light, I look a lot bigger than I am. So I've got
Definitely.
enough muscle for my like weight class.
Yeah.
And I've still got another 2 kilos I could grow because I will compete. I won't ever go into the middle weights just because I'm not going to add on 3, 4, 5 kilos of muscle now. Like I've been training for 20 years at this point. So it's more about like refining the look now rather than having to add like a lot of mass. So I've done that off season where I had to build a lot
Mhm.
and I kind of pushed my weight up and I forced my body to grow. Whereas now it's more about that muscle maturity.
Mhm.
So I'm fairly strong, and now it's just about getting those reps like through the muscle, keeping that form good, keeping that time under tension, and yeah, as well, like health wise, as
Mhm.
soon as I hit like 80 kilos, like I'm snoring, I'm not recovering, my resting heart rate's up by about 10
Right.
beats a minute. Like my wife hates it as well.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
she does not like me at either extreme, whether I'm like too big or too small.
Mhm.
Like when I'm like under 70 kilos, like getting ready for a show, it's just like, yeah, I don't like it. You're too bony. Like you've got no meat on you. Like I can feel the grooves in your arse cheeks. That's weird.
Um. That leads me on to one of the points I was going to make actually. How long have you been competing whilst you were married?
So we got married. This is going to get me into trouble if she listens to this podcast, isn't it? I think we got married in 2022.
Right.
We've been together for 11 years as of about 2 days ago. Um, so we've been together a long time. Willow's 7. So I've been competing for 6 years.
Right.
So I always played sport growing
Mm,
up. So football, rugby, volleyball, anything with a ball.
mm,
Got up to a fairly high level in rugby. So I was playing semi-professionally rugby when I was at university. Picked up an injury, so dropped out of the first team because I was injured.
mhm,
And that's kind of where my like love for the weights room kind of really took off. I've lifted weights since I was like 13, but from 13 up to about 23, training and weight training was all about being a better rugby player.
right.
Then my daughter was born, so she was born in the July. I went and played one game in the September and was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't be out of the house for like 3 hours on a Tuesday and a Thursday evening for training, and then being out from early doors on Saturday, not getting back till 5 o'clock.
Mhm,
It's just not fair on my
mhm,
wife
mhm,
having a newborn at home and having to basically do it on her own.
mhm.
So the thing about bodybuilding is it is like all encompassing, but you can build your life around it. So I I make the sport of bodybuilding like fit into my life rather than with a team sport. It's like trainings at a set time. You've got to have the whole team
Yep.
together. Games are at a set time.
Yep.
Whereas for me, like my meals are when I can fit them in. I train when I can fit them in. Yes, there's a bit of back and forth about that, but it's a lot more flexible in how you can make it work. So I find personally it works a lot better with a family than like a traditional like team sport
Mhm,
where, as I said, I can find that balance. And I think it's one of the reasons as well that I compete like every other year. So I don't compete like back-to-back seasons because for prep, like me and my wife have talked about it, like when it's prep, like I'm quite selfish in that
mhm,
6 month period.
mhm,
But for the other 18 months, like life's pretty normal. Like if we want to go out for meals, if we want to do things with the kids, if we want to go on holiday, like all those things are fine. And I just make it work. I adjust. Whereas when it's prep, it's kind of it's a bigger deal. So
mhm.
like we still went on holiday in prep this year, but I just organized it with my coach that okay, we're going to take that as a deload week. So
Right.
we pushed harder on the diet before I went on holiday than I might necessarily would have done because I had a week. I still trained, but I could be a little bit more relaxed. Like it
Yeah.
was more just like, well, what you know, once you've bodybuilded for 5, 6, 7 years, like you can manage your diet without it being super strict and still
Yes.
kind of keep within it. Like you
Yeah.
don't go mad. Like I put on like a kilo or a kilo and a half after a week's all inclusive. Um, and that weight then came back off within a week or two. Whereas I know, go back 10 years, a week's all inclusive, I'd have been coming back 7, 8 kilos heavier from that
Yeah. Yeah.
holiday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I think it's one of those things that bodybuilding, when you're in a relationship, is very much about communication and setting boundaries and making sure that your partner understands that, look, this is a temporary thing, it's a phase. Like when I'm in this phase, yes, I'm going to be selfish, I'm going to be more moody. Like, call me out on it because ultimately, like, it's not your decision to be in prep, it's mine.
Mhm,
And each time I've gone through a prep, I've learned to recognize when I am starting to get a bit ratty. And ultimately, it's a choice. Like you can choose to try and manage those things or put different things in place to be kind of like managing your mental health
yeah.
because you are in a constant state of fight or flight.
Mhm,
But there are strategies that you can use to help try and minimize the impact on that on the people around you.
absolutely. Absolutely. So I think the fact that your wife is understanding. I mean, on one hand, yes, all you can be responsible for really is how you communicate that to your wife.
Yeah.
Um, but then having a wife who's supportive of it is an extra bonus.
Yeah.
I've been. I mean, this podcast isn't about me. I haven't even divulged certain things about my past yet. That's for another time. But I've been in a situation where um, I communicated what the prep involves, how long I want to be in prep for. But because I didn't feel I had the support during the prep, it made me even more cranky and even more
Mm.
stressed. And obviously, it affects how you look as well.
Yeah.
Um, so the fact that your wife is so supportive of it possibly helps you this season.
Oh,
I think.
100%.
'Cause imagine
I
the stress
could
of being on your back as well.
I've had friends and other athletes that have told me like absolute horror stories where at the beginning, like, yeah, it's great. Like, oh, I've got this bodybuilder as a boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. And then actually the realities of living with somebody who is like weighing every single meal. They weigh themselves every day. You go out for food and it's like, sorry, I can't eat. What do you
Mm,
mean you can't eat? I'm on prep. Like I've got my chicken breast and my rice in the car. Like you guys enjoy your food, I'll go eat and then I'll come back in. Or they want to get a takeaway. It's a Friday night, they want to get a takeaway. They go, okay, you guys get a takeaway. I physically can't be in the same room as you because that smell is going to drive me insane. And then I'm going to be an absolute arsehole for the next like 5 hours until we go to bed. So it's just
yeah,
easier on everyone if I just disappear for an
yeah,
hour while you guys eat. Please air the room out before I come back, and then we will have a nice evening afterwards.
yeah.
Um, but I 100% would not have been anywhere near as successful in my bodybuilding if my wife wasn't such an amazing like support for me. She believes in me. She wants me to win more than I do. Like, I think she struggles to come and watch me compete because I've been in bodybuilding long enough to know that I'm going to win more often than I'm going to lose.
Mm,
Whereas she feels that anxiety for me about like not placing.
mhm,
Whereas for me, it's just water off a duck's back. Okay, that's fine. I didn't get the
yeah,
placing that I wanted.
yeah.
Let's get the feedback and let's move forward.
Mm.
So yeah, it's definitely been an interesting journey for her and for
That's
me.
awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, so are you in a official off season now, or
Yeah.
official off season?
Yeah. I won't be
Never
competing
tempted.
again until 2027 at the earliest. Um, we'll see. Well, one of the shows I wanted to go and do was in the UAE, which we'll see if that whole situation's calmed down
Nice.
by 2027. Um, but yeah, because I'll be competing on the pro circuit now. There's only one pro show. Oh no, there's two pro shows in the UK. So you've got the Supernaturals and then the MBW, um, which are kind of towards the back end of the season.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, it just depends. It all depends on if I make the improvements like I want to make, um, how life's looking, how the world's looking
Yeah.
in another year's time. So yeah, 2026 is off season. So get some more food in me, lift some heavy stuff, pick it up, put it down, and do the best I can.
Excellent. That's excellent. Um, so you'd be competing as a lightweight pro.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's under seven. With the pro shows, because there's less pros than there is amateurs, you often don't know what the weight categories are going to be until like the day, because you don't know how many people are going to be in, because you could have three people or you could have 15. Depends on
Mhm.
the size of the show, who's turning up, who's having seasons that year. Um, so I've seen like pro show lineups where you've got heavyweights and lightweights all in the same mix. And then I'm guessing it's just down to the judging in terms of comparing physiques when there is such big discrepancies, kind of like in the weights,
Yeah.
which I found the WNBF seems to be really, really good at. Like when I was at Worlds and I got to the overall. I think I placed second at the overall. So there was bantamweights, which is the weight class that I was in. You had light, medium, like medium light. So basically, you had two like medium weight classes,
Right,
and then a heavyweight class as well. So I think there was
right.
four classes. So I beat out two of the other guys that were in heavier weight classes than me. And then I think the light heavyweight was the guy that won the overall with the amateur show.
Wow. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. So from here and in, okay, you're gonna do another pro show. Are you just gonna keep competing as a? I mean, are you gonna do any more federations as a pro, or
So I mean, it's all going to depend on kind of like what's happening at the beginning of that year. So I think I'd like to go and compete with the PCA. I've never competed with the PCA before, so that'll be as an amateur because they won't recognize my pro status in the WNBF.
that's
So I'd
right?
have to go and compete as an amateur there. Um, and the thing is, like the natural bodybuilding scene is like moving and growing like so fast.
Definitely.
Like you almost kind of don't know what the landscape's going to be in a year's time. So I'd be open to go and doing more kind of like amateur shows. Um, but like I've competed with the UK DFBA like every single season that I've competed, and I've never really done very well with them. I think I've done all right at a regional show,
Mm,
but like when I've kind of got up to a national level, I just don't think they favor like my look, which is
right.
fine. Different federations are going to favor like different things.
Yeah.
Um, So whether I compete with them, whether I do the BNBF or it'll so like I didn't compete with the BNBF this year because their finals are going to be in Scotland and I didn't really want to travel all the way to
Yeah.
Scotland.
Yeah.
Um so again it all depends on what the federations kind of like announce. Like I decided last minute to compete with the MPA. And I know they have a couple of international shows that they do. So yeah, it'll be one of those things of we get to the beginning of 2027. I've made the improvements that I need to, right? We're kicking off prep, right? Let's look at what the season kind of looks like because you also never know. Like sometimes you've got two federations doing shows on like the same weekend, or like if I've got a holiday booked in or something like that. That's one of the reasons why I didn't compete with the PCA this year because the regional qualifier that I would have needed to do was right when I was on holiday.
Right.
And then the other option was to do essentially your regional show on the Saturday, and then the British Nationals would have been the day after, but I would have then had to compete. I think it was 4 weekends in a row in over September. And I was
Mm,
just like, that's just too much, like altogether. I'm like, I just couldn't kind of make it work. Whereas if I decide not to compete with like the UKD FBA, then there might be a little bit more flexibility in there with like working with the PCA. I probably wouldn't compete with the NPC again. I competed with them in 2023 and I didn't really enjoy it. Like to me, it just felt like we were there as a money spinner. Um,
was it a two bros you did or a different one?
yeah,
Two
it
bros.
was a two bro show down in London. It was £100 entry fee per class, and you could enter as many classes as you want. Um, and I think I spent a total of 10, maybe 15 minutes on stage. Um, and it just didn't and it also just didn't it didn't I didn't get that feeling of like the camaraderie or like any sort of like atmosphere. So like at that MPA show we were at this year, like everyone was backstage, everyone was having a bit of a laugh, we were all
Yeah.
chatting,
Yeah.
like you were kind of like sharing stories, and like that was the bodybuilding community that I know and I love being part of. Whereas at the Two Bro show, it just felt very like stale. Like there just wasn't that same sort of
Yeah.
level of banter and stuff that tends to go on at these things.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand what you mean. I I found I found the PCA like that. Um, but I think it was because of the personnel. I didn't know anybody there apart from, well,
Yeah.
I knew I knew one person. I saw Patrick there. Um, we were both surprised to see each other there actually. So I saw Patrick there, but you know when you're in the zone,
Yeah.
it was very much in the zone. It's like right, I'm competing, not talking to anyone. I'm in the zone, and I'm very much like that as well. Um, if the atmosphere is like that, at the MPA, I can feel a bit more comfortable opening up. But
Yeah.
PC I found very corporate, very formal.
Mm.
Um, so I see what you mean in regards to that. Um, how did you find how did you find not only being a family man, but also being in prep as well as being responsible for your clients? That must have been very difficult.
It's definitely challenging. Um, it's one of those things that you've got to have good systems in place.
Right.
So this is the mistake a lot of like, especially like PTs. So online coaches, you have to systemize stuff
Mm,
because it's online, it's computer based. Like you're not seeing people on a weekly basis. So if you don't have those systems in place, people aren't going to get results.
yeah.
So when you have systems in place, so you know that, right, when somebody signs up, they get this information at this stage, and you're taking them through a process, and it's a simple, repeatable process to get all the like meat and potatoes in there. And then your job as a coach is just to tweak and change to
Mm,
make it fit that individual person. But ultimately, like 75% of that process is the same from person to person, but then you do that little 25%, which is what individualizes it and helps that person
yeah.
fit into that process.
Makes
So
sense.
when you have it like that, because it doesn't take a lot of your brain power, and also I've been a PT, I qualified as a PT in 2012, so I've been doing it for 14 years.
Mm.
It's very rare that somebody brings me a problem nowadays that I haven't
Come across.
solved for somebody
I,
else
I
in
saw
the
you post it on
past.
Instagram actually. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where even when I'm not running at 100% in terms of my mental capacity, because I'm like, right, training, diet, nutrition, it's about like set, right. When I do my check-ins, there's a set time that I do that in. I set myself, say, 2 hours, right? I'm locking in and I'm getting these check-ins done. Or it's right, I've got this task to do. So I'm not trying to multitask. I'm not trying to do multiple things at once because I'm fairly sure I've got ADHD, so I struggle doing that anyway because I never give anything
Mm,
the right amount of attention. So I think just by having that set system, right, we follow this plan. When I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and I'm fully focused on it. And it's the same thing when I'm then in the gym. So when I'm in the gym now, like I have my music playing through my watch because and then my headphones and my phone is in my bag or it's in the desk or it's somewhere away from me. So I can't be seeing social media. I can't see WhatsApp. That's
mm,
my 60 to 90 minutes in the gym is for me.
yeah.
And that's all I'm focusing on. That means I can put
Mm,
all my time, attention, and intensity into that session. I see
hmm.
so many people having shitty workouts because they're doing 10 sets of texting in between every set. And
Exactly.
it's like, you've just lost your pump.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah. Yeah.
can't be working to failure when you're having 3 to 4 minutes rest in
Hogging
between
the
every
machines as
single
well.
set that you're doing. And
Mm,
that's why it takes you 2 hours when you're in the gym. Your workout could have been done in 45 minutes if you
mm,
were just focused.
mm,
And that's a big lesson that I try and implement implement with my clients is like when you're in the gym, you're in there to train. That's it.
mm.
Like if you've got something else going on, try and get it sorted before. For Put do not disturb on your phone and just focus on what you need to do. Because one, your session will be done faster, which means you can get back to what it was you were doing faster.
Hmm.
And two, you will actually push yourself and you will actually start seeing some results.
What's your not what's your split, but how many days does your split consist of? Is it four, five, six?
Now or when I was in prep?
When you're in prep.
When I was in prep, I run a 5 day split. So that was pull, push, legs. day off, upper, lower.
Right.
So I was hitting all the muscle groups twice a week. Since we've come back from Worlds, basically I need to bring up my upper body because especially like my hamstrings, glutes, and adductors from the back are very, very strong. That's from playing rugby all those
Mm.
years. So I now need to bring up my upper body. So now I'm on a push, pull, legs, day off, push, pull. So I'm doing push, pull twice and then legs once. And my leg session is predominantly quad focused. So
We're the opposite.
fair
My
enough.
upper body is, yeah. I mean, I could just do push and pull once, all right, and that would be five for the week. Legs, I've got to do them twice.
Fair enough.
And the beauty of
It's a nice
bodybuilding.
it's a nice problem to have that I don't need my legs to grow.
Yeah, it's a good, yeah, yeah. I I think arguably, like just my opinion, I think uh legs, if your legs are good and your posterior is good, you can get away with a lot. You can get
Yeah.
away with a lot. I think the only thing that saved me was that my condition was good in my legs, but nah, they weren't big enough. They weren't big enough, and that's the thing. You know, when you made a point earlier of when you competed against Chris Palin,
Hmm.
and that's your reference point of condition, right? That was a good reference
Yeah.
point for condition. So even though I had a decent season, I'm looking at the guys in my class who've also done well, who I think are better than me, and they've all got better legs. So I
Hmm.
didn't need a judge to tell me that. I'm looking across the landscape thinking, okay, this off season I know what I need to do because if I'm going against some of these people, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's good that you could take a step back and look at that and identify that, and you're not trying to tear down the other guys. You're not being like, oh, I should have won, blah blah blah. Like you're going, okay, I've done well this season, but there are things I can improve on. And
Definitely,
something I can see across the board is my legs.
yeah.
So you've taken on that feedback, you've not got butt hurt about it, and you're going away now and you're putting the work in.
Did was that the same for you in terms of the feedback, or did you just observe it?
I think it was a bit of both. Because the feedback that I got at Worlds, it was mostly about posing. So
Really?
it was my feet placement. Basically, my feet were too narrow and pointing straight forward, which then made my quads look narrower than they are.
Right.
So it was working on the posing and then also being able to do a lat spread. I've always struggled with the lat spread. Um, I really
Right.
struggled to open up my lats. I think it's because when I started learning to lat spread, I was planning on doing a men's physique show. So I can go into a front relaxed and pop my lats out. As
Mhm.
soon as I try and do the proper like lat spread where you like pull your elbows back, my shoulder blades just don't want to separate.
Right.
But that's just something that I've spoken to a couple of posing coaches about it, got a couple of different cues, and now I seem to have got it, and it's just practice now.
Right.
Um, and then the size thing was literally um I got the video footage from Worlds.
Mhm.
I sent that to my coach, and I think he was watching the live stream as well. And he was like, "Yeah, we can see that we need to bring up my back. So it's my sort of the thickness
Mhm.
and some of the width on my lats. So it'll be easier to do a lat spread if I have more meat on my lats.
Yeah,
So
makes sense, really. Yeah.
um, and then just in bodybuilding, it's always 99% of the problems that you face as a bodybuilder is just get bigger, like build more muscle.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
if somebody's saying you need to be more conditioned, well, if you've got more muscle, it's easier to be more conditioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, if it's a lagging body part, you just need to build more muscle. And I think for the majority of bodybuilders, it's build more muscle everywhere. Like you
Mhm.
probably, if you're in your first couple of years of bodybuilding, you don't need to worry about a lagging body part. You don't have enough muscle in your frame to have a lagging body part. You just need to build more muscle.
Yes, it's very true.
Yeah.
That's very, very true. It's very, very
It's
true.
like these science-based listers that you see doing like lat pull downs with bands and fucking single arms and a strap here, and it's like, can you even like bent over row two plates? No. Okay. Go and worry about that for a little while before you're worrying about the insertion and origin points of the lat muscle. Like
Mm.
you just need to get stronger through some of the compounds first.
From my thing, if it's not broke, why fix it? If it isn't broken, why fix it? You know, I'm not knocking
Yeah.
the science-based lifters at all, but I would just like to know why they think it's better than something that's been tried and tested. And you've only got to look at the guys who took the old school compound method. You know what makes them think their way is better than what's done previous. I just don't understand it.
I think it's a
I don't
combination of
understand it.
both. I think ultimately the science is always going to be behind the guys in the gym. The guys in the gym are, you've got thousands, if not millions of people experimenting every single day when they're in the gym. It's going to take, which they're going to come up with a concept, which is then going to spread if it works, till eventually some science nerd is going to pick it up and go, oh, I wonder why that works. And then they're going to make a study and then
Mm,
they're going to figure out that it works. But you're already 15 years behind the guys that have been doing it for a long
exactly. Yeah,
time.
exactly. Yeah.
So, and I don't know about you, but you can always see a physique on stage of somebody that is just brutally strong. You
Mm,
can tell when some like, right, I see that guy on stage. I can guarantee if I go and look at his Instagram, this guy can fucking move a lot of weight.
mm,
Like there's just something different to the type of muscle that's built with that like intensity. Um, Now there's certain movements. So that single arm lat pull down that I was talking about, like for me personally, I connect with my lats so much better on that movement. But I can also bent over row three plates aside.
that's
Like
strong. That's very
it's
strong.
well, it's one of those where I've done the hard work to build that foundation, and now, so it's like a sculptor,
Yeah.
like that. Those little tweaks are
Mm,
like when you got the fine chisel out at the end to make like the details on his face or his eyes.
mhm.
Like these guys have still just got a raw block of stone, and they've got out this tiny chisel, and they're
Yeah.
trying to make the details.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you need to have
Yeah. Yeah.
done the work so it's at least got its shape first
Yeah.
before you're
That's a good
trying to knock
analogy,
out these
actually.
tiny details.
Mm. And what made you specialize in dad bod coaching? Because you call yourself the dad bod coach, right? So what
Yeah.
made you kind of focus on that niche out of any you could have done?
So for me, it was actually my experience with my first bodybuilding coach. So as I said, Willow was born, um, wife was on maternity leave, stopped playing rugby, kind of lost my way I was still training, I was still eating. I kind of lost my way when it came to my fitness for about 9 months. Put on think I was up in the mid 80 kilos mark. But
Mm,
that was a lot of fat that was on there. Looked at myself in the mirror and went, you know what? I'm not happy with this. I need a new focus. So decided I'd recently come across natural bodybuilding. I'd always followed the assisted side, like from a young age. I was interested in it, but that wasn't for me.
mm,
Um, Came across the natural side, which I hadn't seen before. I was like, this looks really interesting. Found a coach. Is a guy that I used to know from like back at school. Um, Signed on as an online client. I think he was more used to working with assisted guys than natural guys. Because looking back now, what I did with him was completely wrong. Like we did a bit of a recomp, so pulled off the initial body fat,
mm.
had like a 3 month building phase, which isn't anywhere near enough for a natural,
No.
and then did a very intensive, I think, 14-week diet for my first show. And looking back on those photos now, I wasn't anywhere near in condition. My posing was awful. And it was very much that I had to make a square peg fit a triangular hole.
Mm,
So there was no flexibility. There was no accounting for the fact that I had a 6 month old at home. It was like my way or the highway. You're eating this food. if I ever said, oh, like I'd got really hungry, so I had like oh, what was it? Fridge raiders.
Yeah,
It's like pure chicken breast. I
yeah,
told him once I had
yeah.
those, and he basically sent me a 3 minute um voice note about how I don't want it enough. And I was like, wow, okay. Came dead last in that show, and it's lucky that I fell in love with bodybuilding as a process. I then
Hmm.
went and did a local untested show and really enjoyed that because there was no pressure because I was going against the sister guys that I knew I
Yeah,
wasn't going to
yeah,
place.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
could actually just enjoy my time on
Hmm.
stage
Hmm.
and actually went, no, no, I really enjoy this. Ended up parting ways with him about 2 weeks after prep finished,
Hmm.
put on 14 pounds in a week um,
Crikey.
because the brakes just came off. It's the first time I'd ever done an intense diet, and literally I
Yeah,
just ate everything. Um,
£14.
so then spent a bit of time in the off season kind of doing like my own coaching, realized that actually I really struggled with this without the accountability and hired my second coach. And then my second coach was like a breath of fresh air.
Hmm.
Like he understood that, look, you're not 21 years old, you can't live in the gym. Like we built flexibility in there so that I could balance everything. And it made me realize how important it is as a father to have that balance, that it can't be all or nothing because you're trying to spin too many plates. Like when you're in your 20s, you can be all or nothing because you'll be all more often than you're nothing. Whereas when you get into your 30s and 40s, when you're trying to be all or nothing, you're going to be nothing more often than you're all, in which
Exactly.
case you might keep to it for 2, 3, 4 weeks, pull off a load of weight, and then shit kicks off at work or whatever it is, and suddenly I'm not doing the things I need to do. So the whole dad bod coaching stuff came around from like my own personal journey of becoming a father, but then being able to do something as extreme as natural bodybuilding,
Hmm.
taking the lessons that I learned from that and simplifying it so that I can then teach other dads how to put the big blocks in place so you
Hmm.
can still get results. You can still be in great shape, but you can also still be present with your family. You can have the energy to be decent at your job and progress in your career. Like there's so many other facets to life other than like gym, and it's finding that balance.
Yes.
So what I find for a lot of men is they're in order of importance in their head of like life tends to be work, family, self.
Yeah.
So we are wired to be providers.
Hmm.
We've then got to look after our family and then
Hmm.
we put ourselves last.
Yes.
Whereas what you need to do is flip that on its head and go self, family, work. Because ultimately, if you look after yourself first, you're going to have the energy and the mental capacity to be there as a parent. Because if you got hit by a bus tomorrow, your work will find a replacement within a month
100%.
or two.
Yep.
Your
Yep.
family is never going to be able to replace you. So
Yep.
you can't put somewhere where you are completely replaceable in front of somewhere that you're not. And well, as you'll know, like our kids are only going to be with us for 20 years of our lives, maybe a little bit longer if they choose to stay at home for
Um,
longer. So I think a lot of people think, well, basically because they burn themselves out, they then don't have any energy to exercise.
yeah.
But what they don't realize is that when you look after yourself physically, so you're in the gym, you're lifting weights, you're looking after your heart health, you're eating well, and you're fueling your body properly. Like it doesn't need to be all chicken, rice, and broccoli. Like as long as 80% of the food is single ingredient whole foods that are going to fuel your body,
Hmm.
you will have the energy to be able to get all the stuff done you need to do at work, be a present and loving father, and be able to exercise if you prioritize your exercise first.
Hmm.
Like our body adapts to what we put on it. So if you exercise, you will have more energy. I know it seems counterintuitive,
Hmm. Hmm.
but when you do it, and it's only when somebody's had made that change that they realize, oh my God, I've got so much more energy. And well, 90% of the times because people are fueling themselves improperly.
Yeah,
So when you've got rubbish fuel going in, your body's having to process that all the time. You feel sluggish. So I don't know if you get it now, but if you have like a takeaway now, like a massive Domino's, you feel sluggish for the next like day
very,
or
very,
so.
very. Yeah, my digestion, my energy levels. Yeah,
Yeah. So, but that's what people feel chronically. Like that's what they feel like all the time because they never have that feeling of coming out of it, of actually eating real food and fueling themselves and what, how much energy you should feel like you have. So when somebody tidies up their diet and they come back 2 weeks later and I'm like, oh my God, I've got all this energy from nowhere. And it's like, no, this is how you should feel. This
yeah.
is just normal operating. You've been
Mm.
operating at like 30% of like your normal capacity. So yeah, it's always interesting when you take people through that process and then they come out the other end and they're like, oh my God, like I feel like a completely different person.
Excellent. What I was going to ask you is the first coach that you worked with,
Hmm.
was that coach your father?
No.
Right. I thought so.
And I think that's what they struggled with. Like, and I know it's one of these things that, yes, you can have empathy and things like that, but it's also there's a difference between lived experience. Um, and I think that's what a lot of young coaches don't realize. Like, you'll see guys on the internet and oh, I specialize in helping busy professional dad. Like dads has become the new young professionals. Like I was in that niche like 5, 6 years ago, and now
Mm.
every man and his dog is like a parent specialist, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh great, okay, I need to pick a new niche now. Um, but unless you've lived it, unless you've been that guy that is put in work and then his family like before himself, it's very, very hard to get inside that mindset because it's so ingrained as like part of our identity as men is to be a provider. Like we're taught from a very young age that that's what men do. They don't
Mm.
talk about their feelings, like they suck it up and they go out to work and they graft. And switching that mindset, it's very hard for somebody to do that unless they can, unless you're leading by example with it.
Yes.
So unless you can show, look, this is what I'm capable of. I'm no better than any other dad out there. I've got no more hours in the day. I'm no more educated. I'm no more genetically gifted. But here's what I've been able to achieve while also balancing everything. You don't need to do half the crazy stuff that I do to get the result that you want. So it is possible.
Hmm. Did the second guy have a child?
I think so. He's not as he's very private about his private life. I
Right.
think he has broken up with the mum.
Right.
So I don't think the child lives with him, but I think he does. So I think he understands it a bit more. Um, but he's also not one of those people that shares a lot about like his private life, like on social media or anything. So I'm not
Mm.
100% sure.
Right. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting. Um, because if he did have a child, it's that lived experience thing again. It's that.
Yeah.
I mean, I put something on my stories, um, touching on this very topic. Uh, it's you just can't replicate experience. You've either been through something or you haven't, and that's why I can tell because of the experience I've had with marriage and trying to be a dad, working round the clock. That's how I can tell that you are good at what you do. That's how I can tell that you're good at what you
Mm.
do because of my experience. Where someone else can look at
Yeah.
it, and obviously your social media is what you're a well polished guy, whether you're competing or whether it's what you present to the public on your social media is very professional, very polished. So it would attract eyes, but loads of people who don't necessarily have the experience can also present that. So it's that nuance
Mm.
of, no, I know this guy knows what he's talking about. I
Yeah,
can just tell.
I can appreciate
You know
that.
what I
I
mean? I can
really
just tell. I can
appreciate
just
that,
tell.
dude.
I can just tell. I can just tell. Um, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't have a more successful bodybuilding career in my younger years, because I didn't have the time management factor
Mm.
um, sorted that you're specializing in. I didn't have it,
Yeah.
you know. So, but everything happens
I,
for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. I wasn't meant to
yeah,
be competitive in my younger years. I just obviously wasn't. You know?
I
Um,
completely understand. I think a lot of people struggle with the time management side of stuff because, well, think about everything that we've got going on. It's a
yeah,
24-hour a day. Like you just go on your phone, you can get access to anything, anywhere, anytime. You go back, even our parents' generation, like mobile phones weren't a thing. Like
exactly.
as soon as you got in your house, like if you unplugged the phone, nobody could get hold of you.
Yep.
Like if you just wanted to just disappear, it was very easy to do so. Whereas now it can be midnight and your boss could be texting you or emailing you about a project that
Mm.
because he's forgotten it, it's suddenly your problem.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
it's one of those things that we have to navigate, and also being parents at this time is so much harder. Like you've got to navigate social media and like exposing them to it. And we know how addictive it is at our age, let alone on a developing brain that's got no other source of dopamine. Like I was reading something the other day. Essentially, social media is a form of gambling. When you log into your app and you press that refresh button, it's like doing slots of is there going to be something that captures my attention here? Or the like going onto TikTok and you're just constantly scrolling through things. Like it's actually making people's attention spans shorter because they need that dopamine all the time. And we're trying to navigate having relationships, training, work, raising kids, like all of this with all of this noise going on. And it's hard. It's really hard. I can see why a lot of, well, I think everybody struggles. And it's also that thing of then, as you said, social media, you're seeing the highlight reel of everybody's life.
yep,
You only ever see the
yep,
highlight
yep,
reel. You don't
yep,
see the struggles.
yep,
Like,
yep.
so somebody can be having a really, really hard time, but on their Instagram, it looks like that everything's fucking amazing. Like,
Mm.
and I think a lot of us forget that we're comparing our everyday mundane lives to somebody's highlight reel. It's like the
Very
trailer
true.
on a movie. They show
It's
you
very
all the
true.
best bits.
It's very true. It's very true. In in closing, because I've
Hmm.
got to run as well
No worries, dude.
as you guys probably. What advice would you give to? I mean, this is another podcast in itself. But what advice briefly would you give to young fathers who are looking to compete for the first time? Um, so people who are in a committed relationship who want to compete for the first time. I'm going to talk from the man's perspective because that's the lived experience, right? What
Hmm.
advice would you give to best have a successful prep?
So I think there's probably three things that I'd recommend. Number one is if it's your first prep, get a good coach
Hmm.
that understands family dynamics. So they're going to understand that you can't be nailing everything 100% all of the time, or is going to work with you to find a system that works for you. Because you might not nail it on the first prep. The second thing is ask yourself why you're doing it.
Hmm.
Are you doing it for external validation
Hmm.
to prove something to somebody else? Or are you doing it because you love the sport and you love the process?
Hmm.
Because, like the previous point, you may not do well in your first season. It's quite unlikely for you to do, unless you're an absolute genetic freak it's very unlikely for you to do really well in your first season because there is so much to learn and you don't know what you don't know until you've done it
Unless
at
you're
least once.
Libby Camanzuli.
Yeah.
I know that question, but she can't see it. I said,
No.
what you've done is absolutely unheard of. And she's like, really? All nonchalant. Really?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she's
Just couldn't get it.
yeah.
And then I think the third thing is just try and enjoy it as much as you can.
Mm.
So I know that sounds like coming from general population, looking at what we do. What do you mean you diet yourself into oblivion? It doesn't sound enjoyable. It's tough,
Mm.
but remember that it's not the destination, it's the person you're becoming along the way. And you only will figure that out looking back, but try to enjoy the process because it will be over before you know it. And that time on stage, you're going to be on stage 20, maybe 30 minutes of an 18-month to a 2-year process. It's 0.0001% of the time or something like that. If you don't enjoy the journey,
Mm.
there's no point in doing it. Like you're not if you're doing it for that external validation to get a nice little shiny medal that you can stick on your Instagram profile, like you're probably only going to get one season and you're probably going to do some serious damage to your relationship in the process. Whereas if you can get a good coach, enjoy the process, and again, just be patient, like it's one of those sports that can be very, very rewarding.
Excellent. Donald, it's been an absolute pleasure. That is sound advice, good words of wisdom, and look forward to catching up with you soon.
No worries, dude. Look
Many
forward to seeing you
thanks.
soon, man.
Take it easy.
No problem. Bye for now.